Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? It's Sunday morning, and this is the Impractical Blacksmiths. We have me, Yamez, from Island Metal Forge, and we have Alexis from Transcendental Artist Studios. Uh, and it is a fun and happy Sunday. So, what are y'all up to in the chat? We've got Trail Dust, Old Bert Forge, Jack Pines Blacksmithing, Ben Toons, Deranged Metalworks, Heritage Acres Forge. Good morning, good morning. And more people will be rolling in. Yes, we have some other lurkers. Hello, everybody. But yes, so uh, Kevin sort of outed us. We got stuck in a conversation behind the scenes, discussing Bitcoin and the halving that just happened 1 or 2 days ago. And yeah, some interesting stuff there. Excited to see what the future will bring with that. My phone is beeping in my ears. Why is that? That shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, so all of that aside, let's start our segment of how was your week, and we'll start with you, Alexis.
Yeah, because I don't think we can let Adam go first today.
Well, we can.
Well,
It'll just
actually, we
be
never let Adam go first. I always go first.
25 minutes of silence,
Right,
and
right.
with us
25
going,
minutes. That's, that's
uh-huh,
good.
uh-huh.
Right, right. So yeah, let me think. Worked a little bit. Got some hours in for finally. It's been a couple of weeks of not doing anything, and yeah. So that happened, and then I came home on Friday morning. I came home for my days off. Finally got in to see my therapist and I hadn't been in there since January because scheduling just didn't line up. And whew, boy, tell you, trying to cover 3 months worth of stuff in just an hour is tough. It's like, come on, we got to move on. I got a list of stuff we got to talk about real quick. Got all that done. My mom was supposed to not get into town until Saturday, and my mom and I usually have lunch every right after I have therapy every month. And well, she had told me like 2 weeks prior because she was up visiting family up in Wyoming, and she wasn't going to get in until Saturday the 20th. So I didn't think anything of it, and I went to lunch, at our spot, and I called her. I was like, "Hey, you're still out of town, right?" And she's like, "No, no, I could only handle so much. I came back early." And I was like, "Ah, well, all right. Well, it's too late now." And then I wound up staying in town for my daughter's regional track meet over at Angelo State University, and she wasn't running until 8:30 p.m. And I can't be out in the exposure to the UV for like more than 15 minutes at a time. And so I went out there and I watched one of my nieces run and then hung out for a bit, and then I left and I told my daughter, I was like, well, I'll come back, I'll be back here, right before your race at 8:30. And then so I went and took care of a few other things, and then I was on my way back to the college there, and I'm sitting at a stoplight and I turned my headlights on, and they went flash, 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 flash off. And then I turned this and nothing would happen. And I mean, it was like getting to the point of dark where it's like you need headlights. And I was like, oh shoot, I don't have headlights. I was like, uh-oh. And I'm just like, I turned at the light, went around the block and started hauling butt the other direction. I called my mom. I was like, hey, I don't have headlights, and I don't have time to make it home. So I'm coming to your house, and I'm gonna need to spend the night. And she's like, okay. And I mean, like the last I don't know, like 2 miles to my mom's house, I had to like dive off of the main roads and go into the residential areas because no headlights. And like it got to the point where I'm like, it was really difficult to see where I'm going, kind of dark with no
Jesus.
headlights. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, that sucked. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's it's not that I was worried about getting pulled over. I just couldn't see very well. I mean, I didn't want to get pulled over either. Well, I made it to my mom's house. I did miss my daughter's race. I was really mad about that. But if I had continued on and gone to the stadium, I would have been stuck there. I couldn't have left because it would have been too dark to leave with no lights. So um, I still haven't figured that out because it's been raining ever since then. And so yeah, I got up yesterday morning at my mom's house and it was raining, and I came over here to my house and it rained all day until late last night. So finally stopped. It's starting to dry up a little bit, and today I'm hoping to get a few things knocked out. Least of which is trying to figure out what's going on with my headlights, because I just like 2 weeks ago, and they do come on now. It's just that when the vehicle is turned off and I just turn the key on, I can turn the low beams on and they work just fine. Nothing. They just stay on steady. But if I start the truck and it's running, they'll do that flash, 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 and then turn off. And I don't know what it is. I mean, like, because I replaced all the bulbs with LED bulbs, and then on the low beam side, because they're low wattage, they're only like 13 watts instead of the 55s that I pulled out of there. I slaved the left side to the right side, just hook the two up so that one relay would work both lights. Apparently that's probably my issue, because my right side relay sometimes won't kick on, and so the right side low beam doesn't work sometimes. It's a roll of the dice. And so I figured, well, if I just put in lower wattage bulbs that won't overload the relay, and then just hook up the left side to the right side, if one of the relays isn't working, it doesn't matter because the lights will still work, right? No, apparently that thought process is incorrect, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I'll have to figure it out. Other than
Ben
that,
says
that
it's
was
the
my
regulator.
entire week. Yeah, and so that was it. I came home, and yesterday, because it was raining, I just had zero motivation, and I didn't do anything. I did, however, partake of some homemade absinthe that I made, and as a test, because I did some a little over a decade ago, and it took 3 shots to get that. Whew, that kind of not quite hallucinating, but a really fun time. And so I tried it yesterday, and I got through 3 shots. Horrible thing you've ever tasted in your life, and it was close. It was close to what it was back in the day, but uh, um, whatever. That was my week, and in a nutshell, and in its entirety for the most part. Yamas, how was your week?
Um, it was a week.
Very good. All right.
It was a week. Busy with work. Doing a second story addition down at a beautiful freaking piece of land down in Manio. I actually can pull up. I have. I didn't take a picture of the house, or I didn't take anything of the house because that's kind of inappropriate to put online. But I did take a picture of, like, I was in the backyard and I did like a pan and scan kind of camera thing just to show this property. Let me pull it up here. I sent it to my brother. So if you give me a second. Uh, yeah. Just an awesome freaking backyard. It's set on like a little peninsula with a little private beach and everything. How cool is that? You know. But yeah, doing a second story remodel for this house. Um and the second story is bigger than the first story. And I mean that like literally. Ben says jump. Yeah. Uh I have been keeping a towel in the truck. First day we were there, it was like 90 degrees, and it was like, yeah, I'm gonna go swimming tomorrow. So I brought a towel the next day, and it's been like 60, since. So it's like too cold. We'll see how the next few weeks go because we got a lot more work to do there. Um, but yeah, it's the second story is actually bigger than the first. You know, the ground level, like by 6 foot on all four sides. It's like they built just like and then plopped it on top. It was like whoa. It makes drilling down a pain in the butt, but yeah, it's good to get back into the full swing of a busy week. I mean, I'm always busy. I get off of work and I take care of the yard, take care of the property as best as I can here as one person. I keep neglecting it. I still have a fence that I need to fix, um, posts that I need to dig and put in, and more debris. Alexis, you know that scree pile on the side of my garage? You know, I got
Yep.
further. I got further into that, um, and fire ants took hold in that area. So I got to be very careful where I walk. Um, I'm gonna have to sprinkle that with poison and wait a few weeks. But yeah, it's just I got to get into that scree pile and get the rest of it out there because I got three more trees to fell. So that I can
Yeah, that,
finally.
say
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
fire ant infestation you got is no joke.
Oh my god, it's like my little brother's property has it too. Like same kind of fire ants. They just I will be sitting here and looking out over my front yard, and just any random day it'll be like, oh, what's that dirt patch? Oh, god dang it, just freaking fire ant mound, 4 foot across. So I run outside, grab some orthax, I think it's called, this white powder stuff that smells like sugar, and go out there, sprinkle it on it, and then wait. But yeah, so other things this week, annoying stuff I ain't gonna go into. And yesterday, okay, so it's like I gotta ask if any of you guys play Dungeons and Dragons tabletop because uh, for a project that I'm working on with my and I know you guys hate crypto, but this doesn't specifically have to do with crypto. A project that I'm working on with my crypto team is a D&D related, game related project. And to get to it, I've always wanted to play D&D tabletop, but I've never actually been in a group that would or knew how or anything like that. And so one of my team is a semi-professional dungeon master, and with his groups and friends, they play Dungeons and Dragons, and he set up a campaign for us to all learn it. And hey, Robert, and it's just did our first. I think he was like, oh yeah, we'll block out 2 or 3 hours and we'll play Saturday night. It's like we ended up going like 4 to 5 hours, and it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, we ended the match rolling initiative to fight a mosquito god. It's like let's fucking go. I'm ready to go another 4 hours, and everybody else is like, it's midnight. We got families. I'm like, losers. So yeah, with that, if anybody is interested in D&D, um, hit me up because I'm addicted already. Okay, and I've been using the website D&D Beyond. Hashtag not sponsored. I've got 3 characters made up, but the one I played last night was a gnome barbarian that goes into a rage when somebody calls her small. So a little pissed off ball of rock. Anyway, So that was my week. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. But yeah, so we'll go into D&D off on the side if anybody's interested. And with that, I can let y'all know we are planning on doing like regular one-off adventures. But with that, I guess we go into how was your week, Adam? My week was pretty good. So what'd you do this week? Oh, I scrambled some, crazy notes and decided to. I can't do his accent, so just imagine his accent. I just grabbed a
Oh,
crayon and scribbled on a piece of paper. What? You'll do it?
I say, hold on. Yeah, mate, this week was pure, straight up busy, busy. I can't do it, but I can just get mate.
It's like,
I wrote some shit down for you to read on the stream on Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, that's my horrible. Oh my god, I can't believe I did that. But yeah,
It works. But yeah, so
right.
we are discussing
Call you out on
continuing. Sorry.
I said that's cultural appropriation, mate. I'm gonna have to call you out on that one.
Yeah, I'm bad with that. Hey, I
Anyway,
watched Crocodile Dundee.
I
It is part of my culture.
But before we move into the subject real quick, I also wanted to touch on something we talked about in the pre-game is if anybody gives a rat's ass, 7 Days to Die is moving out of
Yes.
alpha into initial release after 12 years in development. So June 1st, I believe, is the tentative launch date for 7 Days to Die 1.0. And from the 22nd of April until the 29th of April, it'll be 73% off of whatever. I don't know if that's off of what it's been for the last 12 years or if that's off the launch price or whatever. So if anybody out there was interested or thinking about it, you should get it before the 1.0 launch, because at the 1.0 launch, it'll go up to like 50, $60, something like that. So
Yeah, and for
just
anybody
just put
wondering,
it out there. If it was something you were thinking about doing, you should get it before it while it's still in early access. So that's all
yeah,
I had
for
on that.
for those wondering, the game we're talking about, 7 Days to Die. If you recall, several months ago, me and Alexis played a zombie game live, and that's the specific game we're talking about. Which is a lot of fun. Let me tell you what. Now, is that some kind of newfangled knife steal? No, it's a zombie game. So we've been talking anvils the past few weeks, and we are going to continue talking anvils, whether you like it or not. What's up, Toll? Little Zach. That's my brother, for anybody who cares. Yes, Tolchin, you did wake up in time. You did miss my "How was your week" segment. Jerk. But yeah, so the past couple of weeks we've been talking anvils, and we did kind of a introduction to what an anvil is. And last week we did the world famous Adam Fluel-Smith primer, or anvil primer series, and where I correctly guessed exactly how long he would talk for.
That was
That
really
was great. But in the kind of afterward discussing it, we were talking about the Mastermyr collection, and I believe somebody in the chat brought up Viking anvils, and all of that. Why wasn't that on the pattern list? And what we were talking last week was, the different styles of the modern anvils. Okay, air quotes, modern anvils. And if I recall, the Mastermyr find was a crate of blacksmith and woodworking tools, like a craftsman crate that supposedly fell off a cart and was forgotten, and buried in a lake, grew up, a glacial lake grew up, and then, settled down and back. I want to say 1930 it was found. I'd have to double check the dates and everything. Don't quote me on the dates, but in this recent past 100 years, it was found after being essentially buried for what was initially thought of 1,000 years ago, but due to some of the tooling and stuff involved in it, may have been closer to 2,000 years ago, or around the time of the Roman Empire. And anybody in the chat, because I know the Mastermyr find is a really big, it's a really big deal, not just for blacksmiths, but for historians and archaeologists alike, because it is like an intact, preserved toolkit for the time, like a traveling toolkit. And with that, had several different. Now, before I get into reading Adam's thing, this is my personal take on it. It had several examples of traveling Viking anvils, which, for the most part was, stake anvils, 5 to 6 inches long with a spike on the end and a flat top that you would drive into a stump to give the mass, and you could work and then rip it all apart, put it in a box, and take off. It had, flat top anvils. It had bicks and horns, overhangs, the various styles, or rather, stake versions of what we would consider modern features of an anvil. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's in addition to that, hammers and chisels and various, woodworking tools as well that were likely made by the blacksmith to be sold or to be used for, detail work for other projects. Let me see. Bortagov says, yes, just checked the book. It was found in 1936. So, yes, yeah, 1930s. And to think about that's for as long as we've been digging the ground looking for things like that, just pause a minute and think of that, like a chest, a fully intact, preserved chest full of a workman's tools. It'd be like if I buried my work bags and somebody found it in 2,000 years and said, this is what the primitive electrician used, like, huh. Like, I can't believe they actually cut their wires.
Can you imagine not being able to control electricity with your hands?
I know, right? But so with that, we were joking with Adam's intro, and they got that right. And I mentioned that, in his how was your week, he scribbled with a crayon and some raving, whatever. But yeah, so this morning he sent me a couple of images to read, a couple of images. So instead of sending me a text document that I could easily read and convey, I have to translate. I think what he did is he trained his chickens to write out this note to me on the Mastermyr find. And if this gives you a peek into the mind of a maniac, so be it. Just for clarification, I will show you guys what I'm about to read to you. Okay. Yes. Scribbles. 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 So, wish me luck and bear with me. I did read it, and I was able to read it, and it is actually it is actually a lot of good information, and he worked really hard on it. And I'm only teasing him when I say it's scribbles. Love you, Adam. Do not hurt me any more than you have to. All right. With that, before I get started into this translation, Alexis, do you have your thoughts and your ideas of the Mastermyr find, your impressions of it?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Oh my gosh, you've got something
Yeah,
to say about.
I actually know nothing about it. Like, I know what it is, but that's it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
I've never looked into it. I've never done any. I've never looked at the pictures in the book, or I may have seen one of John Switzer's videos where they were making something out of out of that book or something. But that is the extent of my knowledge on it.
man, it's actually pretty cool. And as a scientist, I figure you would be interested in the stuff involved with it. Hey, Bill. Um, but yeah, so with that, let me get to the first page here. Again, bear with me. I have to zoom and move and okay. Olbert, your name comes up in here. Olbert. All right. Viking Age anvils. Today, if you mention the word anvil or ask someone to describe an anvil, most would say a large, heavy metal object used as a tool to support work under a hammer. If they know what an anvil is at all. Now, I'm going to pause there. If there is somebody in this day and age who does not know what an anvil is, touch grass. Okay. As we know, anvils come in many shapes and sizes. Many shapes and sizes now, but arguably one of the most famous and romanticized periods of blacksmithing. Shaped in myth and fable, things were very different. We are, of course, talking about the Viking Age. I did that for you, Adam, the whole air quotes, because I know your opinions on Vikings. Let me widen this so I can make it bigger. Yes. Talking about this, we must clarify what period or periods we are referring to. The Viking Age specifically refers to be a period between 793 and 1066, when Nordic and Scandinavian peoples known as Vikings undertook large-scale raiding, colonizing, conquest, and trading expeditions across Europe and the Mediterranean and to the North Americas. However, most people include the preceding migration period from 375 as part of this period. Now, a little side note on why I keep doing this. If you guys don't know already, Adam has a very frustrated view on how other people consider Vikings. Viking, was a profession, not a people. There wasn't a people of Vikings. A Viking would be a profession for Nordic and Scandinavians. Scandinavians, yeah. The Nordic people who were basically pirates. What we would, Viking was that, there was pirates. It was a profession, So not every Nordic person was a Viking, like, you see a Viking town and a group of women and children and stuff. They weren't Vikings. They were Nordic people, and the people who actually, went out and did Viking things were the Vikings.
They went to Vikings.
Excuse me. The most famous find of this period is the Mastermyr chest, discovered in a drained lake in 1936, and though it is typically dated to the Viking Age, around 1000 CE, there have been noted similarities and some of the contents with known Roman artifacts, key, parentheses, keys and anvils and such from 1000 years before. The key takeaway here is that for at least 1,000 years, a lot of ironwork was achieved by comparatively tiny anvils compared to modern standards. And just imagine an Ulfbert sword. I told you your name was going to come up, buddy. An Ulfbert sword being forged on something so small. And for those of you without picture reference, your basic stake anvil for a Viking Age anvil was, roughly 2-inch square, roughly. It was about the size of a hammer. And as we've talked many times on this show, that's really all you need is this. You're only striking the space that's under your hammer. So anyway, so let's discuss some of these anvils to get an idea of just how small these were. There were sword anvils found, several, not sword, scribbles. There were several anvils found in the Mastermyr chest, all of which were smaller, under 5 inches in total length, were of the stake type, designed to be driven into a stump or log to provide the extra mass. The anvils themselves were simply a hard surface to oppose the hammer. Kind of trails off there. End of page. Similarities to Roman artifacts? I blame migrants. Oh, good Lord. I suppose it could be, if I side note this, and Alexis, let's kind of take a break. I got another half page to read, but I suppose it would be a really interesting monthly blacksmith challenge, wink, to forge a project, and the requirement is it has to be done on a small stake Viking style anvil. What you think? Where's Thomas when you need him?
I mean, you'd have to build that, though. I mean,
so take a piece of 2-inch bar stock, taper it down to a spike, and grab yourself a log. I recommend orange osagi, and yeah. So yeah, let's make that a challenge. Make something with a Viking anvil, and I'm not talking about nails. Make something. Wolfbert says I had to compensate for something, so I went big with my stake anvil. 96-pound stake anvil. But yeah, so we'll talk more about that in a quick second. Let me pull up the other image. All right, now this one, unsurprisingly, there are anvils from the period. All right, he goes line, scribble, go up, read, scribble, go down, read, scribble, go up. It's like reading House of Leaves. Unsurprisingly, there are anvils from the period that scribble have recognizably modern features like a bick/horn or what? Then he continues. Unsurprisingly, there were anvils from the period that have recognizably modern features. Roman and post-Roman anvils could feature pritchel or punching holes that could have doubled as nail headers. Stake bicks and horns were also common, as were block-like anvils with a horn drawn out from one side. These anvils were likely a journeyman's or a traveling smith's anvil, and more permanent smithies likely had larger anvils. However, it is important to Reinforce that you use what you have and bigger isn't always better. Yamez, look up pictures of ancient Roman migration period and Viking age anvils and discuss their features. I think he's trying to tell me something with that last line, but I can't quite figure out what it is. So, yeah, I guess he wants me to do a visual presentation as well. Let's do this. He knows it's a pain in the butt for me to mess around while I'm live, doesn't he? All right.
Yeah.
Mastermyr find. Images. All right. No, that's not. Those are just regular amps. Come on. All right. Let me, I'm going to, we're doing it live. All right. I want to. Transition. All righty. So I put Mastermyr anvils and go Viking anvils. Okay. So y'all can see this, right? Alexis, I will say if you want to be on screen, move to your right. Your other right, sorry. Stage right. Yeah, so when we're talking like stump anvils and such, simply this, little they form what they need and then put a spike on it to slam it down into into log, a stump or a log or something, it's literally what they need to work on. And you can have one log with several individual little stump anvils, and boom, it's like you'd have a little workstation. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you really, really think about it, especially for a traveling, here we go. Here's a really good example of how it would work. You've got everything you need: flat spots, something with a little bit more mass than that. You got a horn, a bick. So it's like you really do have what you need to do everything right there. It's just, instead of it all being one piece, you just kind of work around your stump. And then when you're done, or if you need to move to another area, instead of hauling this 100 to 200 pound block of steel, you just break the stump or burn the stump and grab the freaking pieces out of it. And then when you get to where you're going, you'd be like, let me get that oak log right there, and you just go right over. Clearly his anvil is too low. So it's like, I would argue that it would be pretty damn efficient to have a collection of assorted. Is it? Assorted spike anvils, stump anvils, to do something like that. As opposed to lugging around crazy heavy stuff. Let me put Mastermyr, because we are talking Mastermyr, so yeah, this is the Mastermyr find right here. And you guys can't see it. Let me size this thing so y'all can see it. Bear with me for a moment. Yeah. So yeah, boom, tools, anvils, a little cooking grate in a wooden chest. Like this is something that you easily could see just sitting right on, right with your wagon, or strapped to the back of a horse, or something like that. Um, let me see. So this is, have you ever forged on scaffolding? Yes, I have. Um, so yeah, it's when you look at that and you think, yeah, this is possibly 2,000 years old. You go, no, surely not. That is in, like, I won't say pristine condition, but it's a well used condition. But it is, for all intents and purposes, very well preserved for what you're dealing with. Like, and obviously looking at this, the style of tools, when you think about what we have, um, yes, I have been. Uh, I have forged on scaffolding. Yes, I have. Um, when you think about the tools that we use today and that we make today for doing the same thing, it's like you could look at these and be like, I think somebody made those a couple weeks ago. It's like, that's what they look like. Pretty kind of amazing if you think about it, you know? It really is. And look at that, a bolster plate or a little bolster thing, for punching holes, you know, little anvils. Simplest of chains. I will say I really like this chain style. That's really cool. All right. You guys are like, shut up, Yamez. You don't know anything about anything. Why are you still talking? All right. I'm going to cut over to Alexis and have you finish off the show.
All right.
Tell us, tell us about the Mastermyr find. So now that you know a little bit of it, were you looking at the pictures? No.
No, I don't. I've only got so much bandwidth. So, like, you're talking
Oh.
about pictures that I can't see until after I watch this back.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
yeah, I'm just like I was trying to
all
like
right.
picture it in my brain with
Okay,
description
so
and
a picture in your mind, if you will, and this goes to the listeners too. Picture in your face my shop. Okay, take a handful of the tools out of my shop and put them in a wooden box and bury it for 2,000 years, and then dig it up, and they look exactly the same. Okay, so what's your impressions of that?
sounds pretty boring to me.
He gets my ass. I'm gonna tell Adam you said that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought we were talking about something totally different this week, and so like, yeah, that when I actually got on for pre-show, I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I was
What
thinking about, but okay.
what were we thinking about?
I had ASOs on the brain, but
No, Adam wanted to do that specifically because he's built the ultimate ASO.
yeah. No, I remember that after the fact, but for some reason I thought we were going to touch on things like that, but yeah.
We have 13 minutes if you would like to talk about ASOs.
No, I'll save that for next week because I mean, it's I don't want to expend all of my limited knowledge in one little go.
Right, right. I hear you. I hear you. Rob Huff asks, he built the ultimate ASO. Yes, he did. But that could be biased because he's one of our co-hosts, and anything that we do is ultimate. Like I've got the ultimate goatee. Um, but yeah, he took a whole bunch of random bits of metal and welded them together and created the Franken anvil. And it is, I know every smith that welds together a bunch of pieces of metal calls it a Franken anvil. But it's like, what are you gonna do? He's our boo. Um, so uh, yeah,
Yeah, say that's like one of these days I'll get that 1,000 pound fork that I got sitting out in front of my garage and I'll cut it into like sections and then stack them up and be like, ha, there we go.
I think that's pretty much what he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He cut up and stacked a forklift fork.
When all he had to do was forge all those pieces into steak anvils, and get a stump and line them up like a Viking. That's all. I really think that would be a great challenge. I think it would be cool to see Rob Huff uh, forge like a window grate using a steak anvil or a Viking setup. Or which one of you guys does swords? Let me see. I don't think anybody ever does swords anymore.
It was a fad.
Yeah. Which one of you suckers does forges or forges swords still? Tolchin, I think, forges swords, but I don't know if he's still here anymore. Um,
I thought he was into crossing swords. Yep.
uh, but yeah, so it'd be a fun challenge, and I actually have a very large steak anvil, so it wouldn't be the same. I think it's more of an armorer's anvil. It's meant to strap to the side of something. Um, but I've got a little thing that doesn't have a spike on it. It's what I keep alongside of my fire pot for doing quick and tiny forge welds. Um, yeah, Rob, make a steak anvil and then forge another steak anvil off of it. Uh, Tolt goes, how could you? Maybe in games though. Haven't really done much practical stuff like all of you. Tolt, we love you anyway. Um, but yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. I guess as my final thought for it, that would be a super interesting challenge for any of you out there who are used to the bigger anvils. To get yourself or make yourself a steak anvil, and then or a Viking setup, and forge something practical out of it. You know, um, because I mean, it's like they didn't waste their time. They did practical stuff. Make yourself some hinges for a chest, or carriage bolts or something. I don't know. What did they do? Um, I don't want to. I don't want to say, yeah, the challenge is to make a sword, because I mean that's so played out.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't feel like making a steak anvil, um, the whole point would be to make the three different basic shapes, so that you have three different, you have the horn, the flat spot, and a bolster plate, pritchels. Um, so yeah, I think even if you were take a sledge head, like Jeff Killian says, and go ahead and uh, make something out of you, use a small anvil.
I see, and this whole time I've been like picturing because I've got all these fork backs that are like 300 pounds or something like that, and I'm like, let's see, I guess I could take because I just pulled one out of the back of my truck yesterday, a big old piece of casing and then another fork back, and it's sitting on top of the fork back what do you call it striking anvil that I built. and it's still hooked up to the chain hoist. And I'm thinking, okay, I could weld on a stake on it, but then I'm gonna need the chain hoist to flip it over, and then I mean the chain hoist doesn't go outside, so how am I gonna get it out to the ground? To the ground? I mean, like, it's just these things are just too big to handle and just lug around when there's no. I mean, they're just flat rectangles, you know, and it's like,
Well, you at home or
that
you
would
at
be
work?
that would be challenging. I'm at home.
Well, the
If I was
big
at work,
anvil's
I
at
got
home.
loaders and equipment and stuff.
Yeah. Have your daughters help you.
Yeah,
Be like, here,
yeah,
hold this end. Hold this end.
Be like, Tiffany, Morgan, hey, can you guys grab that 300-pound block of steel over there and then just go carry it outside for me?
Yep.
Okay, Dad.
Yep. And then they got their like a generational project, right? They got their kid. Yeah. I think we got a winner. So yeah.
You know, when a chicken dinner.
Yeah. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, and so much if you say that I'm wrong, I'm going to mute you. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I think we just did a fairly good primer, a fairly good rundown of what the Mastermyr collection, the Mastermyr find was, and how it kind of paints a picture of how anvils have progressed over the millennia. You know, and while progressing, also stayed similar. You know, stayed the same, and how tools, you know, a hammer is a hammer, an anvil is an anvil, tongs be tongs, tong to tong tong tongs. So yeah. Alexis, what are your final thoughts on it? Or did we just do final thoughts? Am I way ahead of ourselves here?
No, we didn't. I was gonna say, my final thoughts don't really have anything to do with the subject at hand today. I was going to touch on the this month's blacksmith challenge, which was 36 inches of angle iron, 2-inch angle iron or less, and 5% angle iron. I wanted to actually go into freaking Ace Hardware and buying a section of it for $30. So I think it was like $33 or something like that after tax for a chunk of angle iron to work on this month's project with, and um, we'll see how that goes here over the next couple of days. I'm out of just about everything as far as I think I think I can make something work, but I'm going to work on that this weekend and see if I can get any progress done. I don't know. I'm going to be really mad though if I went to all the trouble to go find this piece of angle iron and purchase it, and then don't get the project done, and it's just like that was a waste. Done that before, so I'm planning on working on that this weekend. Maybe I go back to work on Tuesday, so. I got a little bit of time still today and tomorrow, and yeah. Other than that, I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode after the fact so that I can see what all the pictures were about and get a better feel of the Mastermyr find and all that. And sure. So with that, I will see you guys next week.
Just Google Mastermyr find.
Yeah, I could do that too.
That's all I did. But or rewatch it. We could use the view. Every view helps. So with that, guys, I believe Jack Pines is up next, and as I understand it, he is going to be forging a scale or an exact size and scale replica of the Gates of Versailles. He's said he's going to do it within 2 hours, and that's gilding and patina and everything. So start to finish. Jack Pines, it's up to you. No, I don't think he's doing that. So with that, everybody, you guys have a wonderful day. It is raining here. till late tonight. Just got rain coming through. But I have got to strip some copper and gather up every, nickel, dime, and quarter and penny that I possibly can find and turn in with it. So you guys have a wonderful day. I am going to go ahead and roll out, Autobots. So
Roll out.
goodbye. Goodbye.